Look at you, so fat and useless.
She carried his child for 9 months, survived a painful delivery, and lost countless nights caring for their baby. But when her husband called her fat, she made a decision that changed both their lives forever. What happened next left the whole village in tears. In the peaceful village of Umwagu, there lived a hard-working farmer named Chibuzo and his beautiful wife, Amara. They had been married for 5 years and were admired by everyone for their love and unity. After many years of waiting and prayers, Amara finally became pregnant with their first child. The entire village rejoiced, and Chibuzo could not hide his excitement. 9 months later, Amara gave birth to a healthy baby boy. The delivery was difficult, and her body changed greatly afterward. She gained weight and often looked exhausted from caring for the baby. Though the elders praised her strength, Chibuzo began noticing only her physical changes. At first, Chibuzo kept his thoughts to himself. Whenever he looked at old wedding pictures, he remembered the slim and energetic woman he had married. Instead of appreciating the sacrifices Amara made to bring their son into the world, he allowed shallow thoughts to fill his heart. One evening, while Amara prepared dinner, Chibuzo laughed and said, "You have become so fat that I barely recognize you." The word struck Amara like a spear. Though she smiled weakly, tears gathered in her eyes after he left the room. Amara tried to ignore the insult. She told herself that Chibuzo was only joking. However, his comments became more frequent with each passing day. He mocked the way her clothes fit and compared her to other women in the village. The young mother cried herself to sleep many nights. Instead of comforting her, Chibuzo became increasingly distant. Their once happy home slowly began losing its warmth as bitterness crept into Amara's heart. One morning, Amara visited the village stream with other women. While washing clothes, she overheard them discussing her husband's cruel remarks. Some pitied her, while others shook their heads in disappointment. Ashamed and heartbroken, Amara returned home silently. She began spending more time caring for her son and less time talking to her husband. The silence between them grew deeper than any river in the village. Among the villagers lived an elderly widow named Mama Ebra. She was respected for her wisdom and often settled disputes among families. One day, she noticed Amara's sadness and invited her into her hut. After hearing the story, Mama Ebra comforted her. "A woman who carries life inside her is a blessing," she said. "Your husband sees only your body now, but one day he will learn the value of your sacrifice." Meanwhile, Chibuzo spent more time in the marketplace than at home. There he often admired younger women who had not yet experienced motherhood. His friends laughed at his jokes about Amara, encouraging his disrespectful behavior. One elder overheard him and warned, "Be careful, my son. The tree that gives shade should never be mocked because of its crooked branches." Chibuzo ignored the warning and continued laughing. Weeks turned into months. Amara devoted herself entirely to her child. Despite her pain, she remained kind and respectful toward everyone. Her generosity made the villagers admire her even more. As her reputation grew, people often praised her strength and patience. Ironically, the more others appreciated Amara, the less Chibuzo seemed to notice her worth. One night, a mysterious traveler arrived in Umwagu. The stranger was an old man dressed in white robes. He spoke little but seemed to possess unusual wisdom. The traveler stayed in Mama Ebra's compound and quickly became known for giving profound advice. Villagers visited him daily, hoping to receive guidance for their troubles. Curious, Chibuzo visited the old traveler. He expected simple words of encouragement, but the stranger stared deeply into his eyes and said, "A man who despises a gift may soon lose it." Confused, Chibuzo laughed and dismissed the statement. Yet the words lingered in his mind long after he returned home. That same night, Chibuzo dreamed he was wandering through a dry forest. Every tree he touched crumbled into dust. Suddenly, he saw Amara carrying their child far away from him. When he tried to reach them, his legs refused to move. He woke up sweating, but instead of reflecting on the dream, he convinced himself it meant nothing. Days later, Amara became seriously ill. Constant stress and exhaustion weakened her body. She struggled to care for the baby, yet she refused to complain. When Mama Ebra heard of her illness, she rushed to help. Many villagers offered assistance, while Chibuzo remained surprisingly indifferent. One afternoon, the old traveler visited Chibuzo's farm. He watched silently as Chibuzo worked before speaking. "Do you know what makes a woman beautiful?" he asked. Chibuzo proudly replied, "Her appearance." The traveler shook his head sadly. "No. Her sacrifices." The words irritated Chibuzo. He dismissed the old man and continued working. Yet strange things began happening around his farm soon afterward. His crops started withering unexpectedly. Healthy plants died overnight, and livestock became sick without explanation. The village elders gathered to discuss the mysterious misfortunes. Many believed Chibuzo had offended the spirits through arrogance and disrespect. Though no one accused him directly, whispers spread throughout Umwagu. Chibuzo grew frustrated as his once prosperous farm continued to decline. As weeks passed, his financial situation worsened. Harvests failed repeatedly, leaving him with little income. The same friends who once laughed at his jokes began avoiding him. For the first time, Chibuzo felt the sting of loneliness. Yet pride prevented him from examining his own actions. Amara, despite her illness, encouraged him daily. She prepared meals, cared for the baby, and prayed for their family's recovery. Her kindness confused Chibuzo. He could not understand why she continued loving him after all the pain he had caused. One evening, he overheard villagers praising Amara. They spoke about her generosity, patience, and devotion as a mother. Hearing others celebrate the woman he constantly criticized made Chibuzo uncomfortable. Doubt slowly began creeping into his heart. That night, another dream visited him. He saw himself standing before a giant mirror. Instead of showing his reflection, the mirror displayed every hurtful word he had spoken to Amara. The cruel comments echoed loudly until he covered his ears. He woke trembling, unable to shake the disturbing vision. The following morning, Chibuzo noticed something he had long ignored. Amara carried their growing son on her back while fetching water, cooking, cleaning, and tending to household chores. For the first time, he truly saw the burden she carried every day. Guilt stirred within him. Later, he visited Mama Ebra seeking advice. The old woman listened patiently before speaking. "You looked at her body and forgot her heart," she said. "You enjoyed the fruit but mocked the tree that bore it." Her words struck deeply. Chibuzo left in silence and spent the evening reflecting on the past year. Memories flooded his mind. Amara's difficult labor, sleepless nights, and endless sacrifices for their son. The more he reflected, the more ashamed he became. He realized he had never thanked her for enduring childbirth. Instead of honoring her strength, he had mocked her appearance. The realization filled him with regret. Determined to change, Chibuzo began helping with household tasks. He fetched water, gathered firewood, and cared for the baby whenever possible. Amara was surprised by the sudden transformation but remained cautious. Deep wounds do not heal overnight. Days turned into weeks, and Chibuzo remained consistent. He stopped making hurtful comments and treated Amara with greater respect. The villagers noticed the change and quietly celebrated the improvement in their marriage. One afternoon, Chibuzo publicly thanked Amara during a village gathering. He praised her strength as a mother and acknowledged her sacrifices. The crowd applauded warmly. Tears filled Amara's eyes as she heard words she had longed to hear for months. However, forgiveness was not immediate. Amara still carried the pain of his earlier insults. Though she appreciated his efforts, she needed time to trust his change completely. The old traveler prepared to leave Umwagu. Before departing, he visited Chibuzo one final time. True repentance is proven by actions, not words, he said. Continue walking the path you have chosen. Inspired by the advice, Chibuzo devoted himself to becoming a better husband and father. Gradually, harmony returned to the household. Laughter once again filled rooms that had known only silence. Meanwhile, Amara's health improved significantly. The stress that had burdened her spirit began lifting. She smiled more often and regained confidence in herself. One day, Chibuzo found their wedding album. Looking at the photographs, he realized something important. The woman before him was even more beautiful now, not because of her appearance, but because of her strength and love. As seasons changed, Chibuzo's farm slowly recovered. Healthy crops began growing once again. The villagers considered it a blessing resulting from his changed heart. Prosperity returned little by little. New harvests filled his barns, and his livestock regained strength. This time, Chibuzo remained humble and grateful. He often shared his story with younger husbands. Many listened carefully and learned valuable lessons. His mistakes became warnings for others. Years passed, and their son grew into a cheerful child. He adored both parents and admired their unity. The family's bond became stronger than ever before. One festival season, Amara organized food donations for struggling families. Chibuzo proudly supported her efforts and encouraged others to join. The village chief recognized Amara's contributions publicly. Her kindness had touched countless lives. Everyone celebrated her achievements. Watching the celebration, Chibuzo remembered the cruel words he once spoke. The memory still filled him with shame. That evening, he apologized once more. This time, his voice carried deep sincerity. Amara smiled and assured him she had forgiven him long ago. Their relationship flourished like a well-watered garden. Mutual respect became the foundation of their marriage. Neighbors often sought their advice on family matters. The years continued bringing blessings. More children joined the family, and joy filled their home. Chibuzo treated each pregnancy with gratitude and admiration. He became known as one of the most supportive husbands in Umwagu. Those who remembered his former behavior marveled at his transformation. Whenever a new father mocked his wife after childbirth, elders directed him to Chibuzo. His story became a lesson throughout neighboring villages. Amara also encouraged young mothers facing similar criticism. She taught them to value themselves regardless of changing appearances. Her wisdom inspired many women to embrace motherhood with confidence. She became a respected figure across the region. One rainy evening, Chibuzo reflected on the old traveler's mysterious arrival. He wondered whether the stranger had been an ordinary man or something more. Though he never discovered the answer, he remained thankful for the lessons learned. His life had changed because someone challenged his shallow thinking. As old age approached, Chibuzo and Amara spent more time together. Their love had matured into something deeper than youthful attraction. They often sat beneath a giant irako tree, watching grandchildren play nearby. Those peaceful moments reminded them of how far they had come. One day, Chibuzo shared his greatest regret with his grandchildren. "I once judged your grandmother by her appearance," he confessed. "It was the biggest mistake of my life." The children listened carefully as Amara smiled beside him. Their story became a treasured family lesson passed from generation to generation. And so the people of Umwagu remembered forever that true beauty is not found in appearance alone but in sacrifice, love, patience, and a heart willing to forgive. The end.